Welcome to the second video, if you're watching them in order, on measurements I take, core measurements I take. I'm a little, excuse me, a little croaky and a little fuzzy head. I had my COVID jab yesterday or the day before. Generally all right, but I'm a bit fuzzy headed, so I'm sorry if I start to waffle. I should do my best to keep it to a minimum. Now, when you do these drawings for people, I've often said you don't need to be a great artist. The minimum drawing I find you need for abdomen measurements is that. Okay, don't worry about that bit, that's just me missing. Alright, you'll see what this weird sort of cuneiform is shortly. So let's just get rid of that. And go from there. So, the measurements I take. Now, a human body, excuse my drawing here, this is going to be awful in all likelihood, is generally a collection of muscles surrounded by varying degrees of fat. Some of us are a little more husky than others, but let's just assume that's the basic shape of our human being. Okay, there we go, that'll do us, just about. In this form somewhere you will have a nape, the little V shape at the bottom of your throat that if you get poked in makes you croak. And you will have a navel, nape to navel. There's our first measurement. Call that A. And that is just a straight line measurement. The next one is this side to side, often gets nicknamed point to point, or rather a customer said that to me once and I thought I'll run with that, and that's a straight measurement. Now there's a couple of ways you can get this. Obviously it depends on the relationship you have with your customer, but if you get them to put their arms straight out in front of them and then touch their palms, their hands, open hands together, the bicep or their arm will come across the body. There's the thumb in their hand, in vaguely the same space here, and you can measure that distance between, okay, or point to point, as we say. And that will give you 4 fixed points on the human body that you can take your measurements to. Okay, and that can inform you, say later, you know, if you need to know the height of the shoulders or something, you have a fixed point to work from. Okay, but anyway, I'll digress a bit. The next measurement I tend to take is along here, and conveniently it's where the navel is and the belly button is there. Okay, and that is C, and that is a circumference and a front to back, side to side measurement using calipers. If you don't want to go poking your customer in the belly button, or you don't want them pointing it out, get them to stand, so if this is their back, with one leg raised, other leg on the ground, unless they're really clever, and that's where you're at. That will be at the belly button, more or less. If I won't digress there yet, we'll do that later. D, conveniently, is on the same level as this measurement and will give you under the armpits. And again, you want a circumference, front to back, side to side. Next one can be, you have to get a feel for this yourself, okay? But somewhere around here will be the end of their sternum. If you tap them, they'll be solid, then they'll go squishy. And that's the bit we're on about there. And somewhere around here will be the edge of their rib cage. They will be squishy, and then you'll start tapping the ribs, okay? About 2/3 of the way up and 1/3 of the way down is where I like to take E. Now, there's no hard and fast rule on this, just always make sure you take the same place, or if you use this method do. And what it does, gives you a good idea, a good measurement of where the side of the armour needs to start and stop, okay? So what I mean by that is imagine you've got a cuirass coming up here. Obviously you don't want to go right up under their armpit because that'll cut off circulation. They'll walk around looking like you used carpet salesman, it starts to give you that idea of where that has to happen. Okay, my awful drawing, but you get the idea. Some sort of placard in there, perhaps, I don't know. There we go. All right, it's a bit of a poor drawing, but you get the idea. Now, what do these measurements give you? This gives you a good baseline for where the armour needs to end. Now, depending upon the period, you can have armours coming down here, going up high, you can have them up here, whatever, but what doesn't move is this belly button, okay? And if you come down with straight armour past that point, they will not be able to flex. All right, we bend here, we don't bend at our hips when we move forward or lean back or whatever. It all happens in around this area of the lumbar. Okay, so you need to be wary of where that is and decide upon the look of the armour you've got. Equally up here, all right, there's the nape of the neck. You can use that as a guide for necklines. Now, it looks very, with that neckline up there, very sort of Greek. You can come down here. You can do these square ones that appear in the sort of 16th century and coming down there. You can go 14th century perhaps. There. You get the idea. What doesn't move is this. There's my doorbell. Right, bear with me and I shall be back. Now, a quick coffee break just to finish off then, really, because I was almost at the end of this video. I hope you can see the point I'm trying to make, which is by these fixed points you can move the armour and the pattern around to whatever it is that you require. Without them, you're more in the realms of guessing what's going on. You do need to understand what the armour is doing on the person, whether it's cinching in, coming straight down, whatever it's doing. But these fixed points will enable you to make sure that it fits or stands as good a chance as any of fitting that individual. Other measurements are sort of gravy, really. Other ones you might want to take. Again, you've got this fixed point now, so you can measure up to the height of the shoulder if that's what's required. You can make extra measurements across here if you feel that's necessary, because you can step them up this line that you have, so you know that they're even. But again, without those fixed points, I would suggest, certainly to my mind, that becomes an impossibility. You could take castings of people, but you need to be careful when you do that, because don't forget this is all squishy. I'm hoping I haven't repeated this already. But this is squishy, this can be a bit harder. We carry our weight, generally men carry their weight under their armpits a lot when they're carrying a bit of weight, so you need to be aware of what's going on, that the concrete-like physique that you can create with a casting isn't necessarily what the person is like underneath. So if you get some of the armours, what they call it, the Mercenary Harness, I think it was nicknamed at Kelvin Grove Museum, for example, comes in, forgive my drawing here, I'm just freehanding this, but it comes in, so if we're looking at straight on, to a very, very slender waistline, and then a fouled, and comes out from there. This cinch here is not going to be possible on certain types of people. Yeah, we just have to face facts. I'm not being unkind or deliberately unkind. It's just not going to work. If the person fitting into it is shaped like that, you are not going to do that to them, not without facing large medical bills afterwards. But you can make armour look good on people. You just need to, on should we say the huskier gentlemen, you just need to take advice, say, from the suits that Henry VIII had made. You know, they're state of the art, they look fantastic. He was a big unit, he was a big old lad, and they managed to make him fit like that. Now, whether that will be perfect for the period and the look of the harness that they want, there may be some re-evaluation of expectation going on, but it is possible to do. You just need to be aware of what's squishy, how far it will squish, and what's hard on the human body, like the ribs and so on. Okay, and that then will help you and guide you in what is necessary for the pattern as you're making it, and you stand a good old chance then of doing it. I'm not going to go into the patterns too much because I just wanted to make sure I cover these measurements in this, and maybe as time goes on and my confidence grows, I might sort of show how I convert that into specific patterns, because it's not going to be a catch-all for all. And as I've said before, don't forget that the way I make my armour will be different might be different from another armourer. So our patterns will look different to reflect that style of work. So you always got to be aware of that. Having a pattern is not necessarily the answer to all of our prayers as novice armourers. So anyway, look, I hope that was useful, and I haven't waffled too much. I'll put this together, throw it out there, and what should we do next? I don't know, maybe greaves. Let's take a look at the dreaded greave and show that it's certainly taking the measurements isn't as large a problem as perhaps we think it is. So I'll take a look at greaves next and the way that I take the core measurements for that. So there you go. Hope that was useful. As ever, please, what is it they say on all the videos? Like and subscribe. Do all of that. I'm only about 999 million subscribers away from 1 billion. So let's crack on and make that happen. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.